revelatory episode of Mind Over Masculinity, the podcast where we deconstruct what it really means to be a man in today's world. Uh, Not by chest thumping, but by gut, honest conversations. So, dear listeners, today we are cutting through the noise with someone who doesn't hold back. Yes, I'm talking about Clayton Moffat. So, welcome to the show, Clay.
Thanks for having me, Avik. Pleasure to be here.
Amazing, amazing. So, dear listeners, as you know, every day I introduce you with lovely guests. So today I'd love to introduce you with Clay. So Clay is the former Navy weapons tech, elite behavioral coach, and the powerhouse behind the trust trap. So Clay doesn't speak in cliches, but he talks about the real neuroscience of trust, how betrayal starts within, and how so many men have outsourced their sanity to relationships, roles, and reputations. So, if you have ever found yourself thinking, why the hell did I trust that person? Or maybe, why do I keep sabotaging myself even when I know better? So then this one is for you. Because here's the truth, is self-trust isn't toxic, it's magnetic. So it's the foundation of how we lead, love, and live. Right. So and without it, we are just pretending. So I'll not take much of your time, dear listeners. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show again. So Clay, you say that self-trust is not a kind of fluffy concept, but it's the root of every good decision a man makes. So, I mean, if you can share, what does broken self trust actually look like in a man's day to day life?
Well, it's going to depend on the man, but if we're going to go for as general archetype as possible, which I think will probably be the most useful, it'll come across in some very glaringly obvious ways.
Mm. Yeah.
And pretty simple.
Okay.
The first thing they're going to notice is there's a lot of indecision. They're going to be over analyzing. They're going to be a lot of looping.
Yeah.
Right? They need to know exactly what happened. Then they're asking themselves, it doesn't make sense unless this happened. And they're going to start to be going through and externalizing control.
Exactly.
And on top of that,
Hmm.
a lot of the times the outsourcing of the decisions comes with validation. So they'll be letting women or they'll be letting friends or be letting fate
Mm.
take their outcomes. That tends to be a very typical thing. They'll be needing someone else to confirm that they're doing the right thing
Yeah.
and that this is the right reasons for doing the right thing. They'll be obsessing over what someone else is thinking, what someone else is doing, uh, especially if they're in a relationship or about to start a relationship. It will come across as
Exactly.
very clingy. They'll be easily thrown off course by others' actions or words
Mm.
or moods. They will likely feel ungrounded. They'll feel off balance when life doesn't plan. I mean, there's
Exactly.
there's there's a whole bunch of things that's really going to go through because when a man trusts himself, you still feel pain, you'll still feel confusion. That's not to say that you're never going to have pain and you're going to avoid confusion altogether. I mean, that's going to happen. That's a part of life. The difference that's going to be the case is that you're not going to outsource and hand over how your piece is defined to someone else. That someone else is the core driver of your piece. Your piece is already self referenced and it comes from who you are. And that's going to be the driving factor. And then other people are going to go with your flow. They're going to flow with how your river is moving through the world versus your river needing the direction from them.
Exactly. I totally agree. Yeah. And when men recognize that they have lost that inner compass, so where do they even start to rebuild it? What do you have to say on this?
That's pretty simple. Self-trust comes through paying attention to what's going on internally.
Okay.
Okay. So
Mm.
small kept promises to yourself. So daily routines, workouts, leaning into goals, because each follow through that you do starts to build the reputation with yourself, starts to build the faith back in yourself that you can count on yourself. Choosing without polling others first, acting on a gut call and owning the outcome, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, you stick to it and you're like, okay, this is me. And taking that ownership is a huge thing.
So,
Facing and surviving hard situations. So if you have a breakup, a job change, you get a confrontation, you don't run. It's not saying that you stay and fight for like a breakup, like, oh, I'm going to go win this girl back. But you don't run. Don't go and drown yourself in alcohol and drugs. You don't disappear off on a bender. You don't vanish into the night air. You stay up, you show up, you go to work, you still do your thing. That's not to say that you're not feeling it, but you're not running from it, right? You can handle pain without falling apart. That
mm,
pain is used as a mechanism and a trigger for growth because
mm,
you're rehearsing being the person that does what you said you're going to do, even when no one's watching. And that's the big thing,
exactly.
right? Showing up,
Mm.
being this person all the time, whether there's someone there or there's not someone there, this is how you show up.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. And like I mean, I have to say that this really hits hard because a lot of us are actually taught to trust others before we trust ourselves, and as if we need outside validation to believe we are enough. So yeah, that's true. And also, like, you have worked with high performers who had it all: paper, money, status, success. But you say that many of them are running on empty inside. So, how does lack of self trust show up in achievement driven men? So, what do you have to say?
Same thing. It's the exact same thing. Like nothing changes a Vic. The difference is
Okay.
they're better at putting on a front to other people. That's the only change. The change is how good are you at putting on the mask and how believable are you at putting on the mask.
Got it. Understood. And why do you think that success often makes men more disconnected from themselves, like instead of more grounded?
I think it can be the case. I don't necessarily know that it's the default. There's some really corrosive ways that start to happen. So a lot of the
Mm.
times, if they're like super high performing, they'll try and micromanage everything because they don't trust themselves or others to handle the chaos. They don't really see that there's going to be a way to work through it. But if they're in control of every little thing, that gives them the sense, a false sense, by the way, that they can manipulate the outcome to be the best way to go. And even with that, while they're trying to control everything, there's going to be big moves, acquisitions, exits are going to be delayed because they will have some kind of reservation that they're going to be making the wrong choice. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to go through that when they go through an exit or an acquisition. They're going to ask themselves, like, is this the right thing for me? That's human nature to question and ensure you're making a appropriate decision based on all the information you have. However, going and continuously asking for more information and delays and uh, continuing to do it from a place where you feel like you're making the wrong choice. And so you just need this extra thing and just this one more thing. That's a way that it will show up. There'll be a whole massive over reliance on data. So they won't move without proof, right? They have to hide behind a spreadsheet or consultants or trends. They can't read people because they don't know how to read themselves. There'll be a lot of tension in relationships. Distrust bleeds into every area of your life, whether it's professional or personal, right? There'll be jealousy, there'll be loyalty testing, there'll be intimacy being tested constantly and needing reassurance and asking why. Why are you still with me? Why do you still need me? Why am I still important to you? These kind of questions. And restlessness is probably the biggest one because they need, and this is an important stipulation here, they need to chase the next win because stillness feels unsafe. They don't trust themselves in quiet. They have to continue moving. Now, there are some people that like just want to move, like, okay, I've done this thing, cool, what's next? And so there's ways to kind of discern it within yourself to check in what's driving you and to check in what's moving you forward. And one of those is to go through and do an analysis, a case by case analysis on yourself with regards to the various areas of your life and start to dive into the values that are driving you forward. Now, this is kind of subjective because depending on your mood and depending on your state of mind, your values will actually be quite different, which a lot of people would disagree with me on. But the values will be different based on your mood, based on your
Mm.
proximity, based on the people that you're around. Though it's the best way that you can start to look and start to analyze and have someone pull out and extract what is actually driving you. And if you're driving for success on, let's say, fragile ground, which is moving away from things that you don't want, moving away from a lack of money, a lack of uh,
Yeah.
status, and so you need the status because you don't want to not be seen as
Mm.
successful, that will start to show up.
Exactly. I agree. Totally agree. Yeah. And also one more thing is like in the trust trap, like you write about outsourcing your sanity, right? I mean, that phrase is brutal and also I'd say it's accurate. But so what does that mean? I mean, how are men doing it without even realizing?
It's pretty simple. And simple for me because I've kind of been studying for a while, so I keep saying things are simple, though it is simple.
Yeah.
Needing external approval is the biggest thing, right?
Mm.
Their mood rises and falls based on the partner's text, their boss's tone, social media engagement, right?
Yeah.
You only feel good when the outside world confirms that you're enough. You're needing, and this is the big thing, like you can get those things and feel good. Oh, that's cool. I had a post that landed. People liked it. But that's not a bad thing to feel good about it. If that
Correct.
is what your measure of success or happiness looks like, that's the issue. Letting relationships dictate your mental state. So the
Mm.
adage, happy wife, happy life. Yeah,
Mm.
that's I mean, it's truthful because if you've got a
Yeah.
partner that's massively dissatisfied, they can make your life a living hell. But if your happiness depends on them being happy, then
Yeah.
that's codependent. You can
Mm.
definitely work, and I think it's very healthy to work to put as
Yeah.
much effort into the relationship so that you're both happy as possible. But
Mm.
your happiness does not depend on her being happy. You're going to be extra happy when she's
Correct.
happy. You don't want to see her unhappy. And at the same time, you can still be happy and content with your life, even when she's going through tough times with her work or through her career or whatever else might be going on.
Understood. True. Oh, lovely. And also, if we talk about the betrayal, I mean, not from others, but from ourselves. So, how does the self betrayal get wired into our nervous systems? Like, why do we keep repeating the same painful patterns?
Well, it's not that it gets wide into the nervous system, it's just the default state. That's how it works, right? The
Yeah.
way I see trust and the way that I pull it apart is slightly different. So, the standard version of trust that I think is possibly the easiest way to break this down is that
Mm.
we can trust other people are going to want to and willingly meet our expectations. And that's the standard version of trust that I think gets thrown around and is misunderstood. The version of
Mm.
trust that I like to look at and that I like to live from is that I trust everyone to meet their own expectations for their own joy and their own happiness. So it's a completely different deal. But our default state is that we're going to expect and anticipate that other people are going to look through our lens and our worldview, our requirements. And it's built
Mm.
on a house of cards because a lot of the times we've never really established what that looks like, how they know that they've got trust, how
Correct.
they know that we're aligned and moving to the same target, that determines
Mm. Exactly.
Massive cascading effect of circumstances like timing, like life partners, like money considerations, like promotions. There's so many things that can come into the mix which start to change things. And really, what starts to happen is the brain leans on its ability to survive, which is just a natural state that we do. It conserves energy through this conservation mechanism. It frames people. We get a mental representation of what that person is. They get into the familiar, the safe box. We trust them. And then we set ourselves up for failure because we trust them to meet our expectations instead of trusting them to meet their own expectations and just looking for the alignment piece. And do we still have alignment? And yes, we do. Okay, let's continue happily and merrily. Do we have alignment? No, we don't. Okay, well, now we're going to go separate ways, and that's okay.
Exactly. Lovely. I really love that. And this one, I mean, it might sound contradictory, but it's actually not. Like some people say that trust is earned, but if we are constantly betrayed, um, isn't it safer not to trust anyone and even ourselves? And what do you have to say on this?
Nope. I flat out disagree with that. The only way you'd constantly be betrayed is you're not paying attention. Now, there are ways, I mean, people that have been brought up in fractured environments where they never learn to regulate their nervous system, where they've never been given the opportunity to co-regulate, so their nervous system never learned to self-regulate. So they're constantly triggered by people. It will seem safer to just shut everyone else out. But in doing so, you create a whole bunch of mechanisms that become problematic. For example, we're social creatures, so you now no longer have social bonding. So you're missing one of the most important aspects of our species needing to live a happy, content, and fulfilled life. And because your system's dysregulated, you're going to be constantly in fight or flight, or your dorsal vagal activation is going to be, which is like a freeze or fawning response. And you're going to constantly be in a state where you don't have access to your full faculties, where you're not being able to pay attention to everything. And you're going to be up against the world. So, no, I don't see it as being a better option. The better option is to learn how to regulate your nervous system, which will take some work, and just learn how to that you can trust yourself and trust the signals within yourself. And once you can start to do that, you can start to extrapolate that and expound that and use that as your guiding point for how you can start to learn and lean in and trust other people and take a step back, recognizing that trust is not something that is permanent. Trust does not equal permanence. Trust is about paying attention to the signals that your body and your brain are receiving in the moment, learning to listen and seek and ask how to find out what they mean so that then you can make appropriate decisions on whether to still continue trusting in that moment or whether you turn around and say, you know what, this is not for me. Like we've run our race. This has been a great race. You go do your thing. I'm going to do mine.
Perfect. I mean, that's a great one, I'd say. Lovely. I mean, this wasn't just a conversation, it was a recalibration, I would say. I mean, yeah. So, Clay, thank you so much for showing up the raw, real, and with tools that men don't just hear, but they feel. And yeah, exactly. And for every man who is listening, or maybe you will be listening, like if you're tired of doubting yourself, or if you are done giving your power away, then this is your sign. Rebuild trust, not with the world, but with yourself. Because you are the foundation and not your job, not your titles, and not your relationships, and but you. And when you reclaim that, like you stop chasing approval and you start attracting the truth. So pick up the trust trap, follow Clay, and do the damn work. So Clay, like if someone wants to connect with you, what would be the great medium?
The easiest way to connect with me is to just fire an email, go at claymoffat.com, or to connect and reach out to me on X, which is at Moffat, Moffatclay. And I'm on X more often than I am on any other platform.
Perfect. Lovely. So, dear listeners, what I'll do, I'll put all the links into the show notes for your easy reference. And with this book, until next time, I'd say this is your host, Avik, and you have been listening to Mind Over Masculinity. So, till then, be happy.